Welcome back. 4 o'clock. That means no more trading, guys. How's everyone's day? How'd everyone do? Or how are you set up for tomorrow? Or you did nothing at all? You're just hanging out. Let's take a look at the profit section as the numbers come in here. I'm expecting something similar to the market with some expectations for some moves tomorrow. We get Met with the -1, break even on the day. LSU with the -2.6, pretty much break even on the day. C Trader with the -457, stopped out only one position. That sounds like some positions going into tomorrow. Fibs with the I shorted vol. That's quite the play. All right. Met says he's set up nice for tomorrow, I believe. Okay. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. We definitely got this move coming towards close that, right over here, and we said, all right, let's take the training wheels off, and let's get after it. That's sort of the mentality that happened in here. There was some. It wasn't, over here. I talked about, well, this week we're not going to be buying, fear rising. Not fear buying like we did last week, and we pushed that up. Had a pretty nice result from doing so. Over here we weren't buying fear. Today was a little different going into tomorrow based on the way that the consolidation is kind of working out. It was not just that you're buying on fear or you had support and everything. It's really in the way that the flows are going to line up. We have money coming out of bonds, out of the treasury market. There's a lot of money out there, and if there was going to be a sell event, it should have happened here. It should have happened here if it was going to happen. And there's a lot of things that just sort of did not align correctly. When you look at the dollar coming down, right? The dollar attempts to break, and as soon as this starts, I say, okay, that's people, other traders like myself, putting money into the equity market. So I need to do it before they do it and while they're doing it. And so as soon as this started, and with volatility doing what it did, I obviously decided to put some risk on, right? And so there's a couple trades that were, of course, made in terms of that idea. We'll go through some of those ideas, but I'm expecting some, like I said, some moves. Some moves. If we look at let me just show you on the daily, sort of where we're at. We've been consolidating this week, right? Short week so far, consolidating. Coming out of last week, I think there's a bad understanding of exactly what went on last week. Again, we were buying lows, so we're basically at break even from those lows. So we've been pushing a lot of those long positions. I've seen a lot of people have similar probably results to myself in terms of pushing those positions, that you're of course losing some value by holding here, but your average is still better than here, and it's going to be hard to get in. To me, this looks like a move here, and I talked about it yesterday, that this candle structure here, again, we don't use historical, we of course always take the historical perspective and learn from it, but it's not that it's going to always copy it. But we do have a similar mindset going into here. Now, this is a Friday to Monday, so of course it's not the exact same, but it is a very similar feel over here. And the one thing I talked about in terms of tech getting some bid here, right? You've got clear supports and everything along those lines, but it was that the Hang Seng is, again, Asia, the Hang Seng being very tech oriented. This move has been just violent. I mean, it's been a rally. This is a rally. This candle here today is really what led to us opening lower, right? We opened lower in our markets. Now, in most cases, I would always call this a bearish candle. It is a bearish candle. It's a bit of a two-bar reversal, engulfing, it's outside. You can call it all kinds of candles, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it today. It's bearish. But it doesn't overtake the entire bullishness of this. Now, could be wrong on some of these bets, but what's great about the bets that we put on today, we bought them at the low, and we have plenty of a base that if we open tomorrow and start to sell, we'll still get out for a profit. That's really the whole point. I don't really see that happen over here. I see some bid in the future here based on that. Again, this is where you've got people that are willing to buy up here, and then they're selling here, and then guess what? They're going to end up buying at that high again probably tomorrow if that happens. And it's just like, what do you're just losing money doing that. Just it's a bit of a perplexing move there. If it doesn't move. Now, if this pulls back into the trend line or into the level here, then of course it makes sense that you're selling into here. But I think there's some understanding out there with the big boys that there are some buy opportunities over here in the market, not just the Apple chart here. I had quite a few. You asked me, Don, hey, listen, I'm not, listen, I'm just wondering which ones you bought. Then get about 5 DMs. Hey, listen, I'm just wondering which ones, just for learning. Nothing to do with maybe if you tell me the strikes in the exact contract, I'm going to look to buy them. Hey, listen, no rush, no pressure. I'm just wondering specifically what date, what strike, when, where, and how should I get these contracts. I'm just wondering exactly that, and if you could just tell me the exact ones, I'll be on my way. There's no big deal, okay? Just no pressure. Don't worry about it. Hey, man, listen, I sent a message like 15 minutes ago. Could you respond to my message? I mean, guys, I said Marches. I buy at the money, and I buy a big spread. There's like 100 different contracts you can choose from here, right? And they're all basically the same fucking thing, okay? Okay, there's a bunch of 130s you can pick up here, right? Bunch of 130s. Those look pretty hot. Go look at the chain yourself. Listen, the difference between me buying, the difference between me buying the 127 and a halfs and the 130s here and then the 135s is pretty minimal, right? Yes, there are differences, but you know what you should be doing in terms of your own positions, whether you need, first of all, this is liquid, so you don't need to really worry about volume, right? You know I'm not going to buy significantly out of the money because I'm not going to get beat up, right? Marches are already short term, and I've already made a lot of comments about that, so I'm not going to go buy like, I'm not going to wait in terms of my position. I'm not going to weight it towards a large out of the money position. Now, did I buy 140s? I'm not going to say I didn't buy 140s, but I'm not going to say that I put 100% of that position into 140s. Of course not. Everything is weighted towards at the money with a tiered towards the upside, tiered towards out of the money. Why did I put this on? Well, first of all, I bought at the low. We bought at the low here. And the idea here on Apple, so I got triggered on the buy side. Again, the idea is that it's going to make a large move one way or the other based on where this is, based on the market, and based on this move that we've seen everywhere. This move we've seen everywhere, usually the price comes over here and teeters, and then it's making a move to the upside. Instead, this looks like discount city to me. Looks like some Costco hot dogs over here, if you ask me. These moves that we've seen in the market, they've all lined up very similarly, and they're all leading to the upside. Instead, Apple sold through there. I don't think that's a leader for those other tickers. I think this is just dead wrong. There was some mistakes being made in here. Whoever sold in here obviously made some mistakes and probably bought today. The other thing is there's a lot of big boys in call positions over here. Okay, and we know what happens, and we know that they do this where they hold these big positions, and guess what happens? When price comes towards those expirations, and that gamma squeeze occurs, price skyrockets. Price takes off. I'm expecting this kind of move within here, which is why I kind of drew you guys this. In terms of how the straddle gets activated, I'm in the call position. If it gets to the sell side, then this gets activated. I don't have puts right now. So it's not like I went, those of you that are like, oh, look at this strategy builder on my IB. I can click straddle and it'll buy everything I need. I can buy these calls here and sell these calls here. All these cool things. Like, I'm not selling calls up here. No, okay? No, I just have some simple calls tiered up towards out of the money, which again we did live. Those of you that are listening to the recording, you'll see it in the morning one. Bought it at the low. I'm not going to be hoping. I'm not going to be sweating. It's a little bit sweatier, 100%. It's 100% a pretty sweaty trade. I put it's a big boy trade. That's a Dos Casa trade. You get paid on this one. Listen, if price comes up to here, probably won't be here next week, right? Probably won't be, but I'm gonna go on vacation. But you know, I'm just kidding, guys. I'll never leave you. Don't you worry. It doesn't matter how much money. It's not about the money. It's about proving every day what you can do. Anyway, so this is going to be a lot of fun. I think tomorrow, guys, right? You got to think about the market in again, in its moves, not just in the day. You get caught up in the down day, and you miss the part where it's actually maybe there's a chance that price pulls back and then continues, right? Like other days, right? Like how price actually works. So again, could be wrong, but we can react and we buy and enter accordingly so that we don't have a bad downside. What's my downside on that Apple position? I would need to get gapped over. I would need to have a lower low from open to lose money on that trade. Otherwise, I could get stopped out for break even at least. I would be take profit. Those positions are already up. Those are marginal trades. It takes 1% to make 10% on that trade. 1%. 1% on the online to make 10%. That's on like the deep in the monies. Those are making some significant points on the exponential. So I'm pretty sure some of you saw that because I know there's at least a few people that jumped on that trade. As soon as the mic gets muted, everyone goes, "Oh, well, I'm going to get my greasy fingers out." Net thoughts. So anyway, I'm expecting for a macro side, for those of you that head out early usually, I am expecting a bid day tomorrow in terms of the market, a green Friday, as we like to put it, green Friday. It really is lining up for that. And again, we don't even need to tell ourselves the story because we're going to see where price is going to open because Asia is going to basically dictate what that movement is. So we'll see it tomorrow. You don't even need to think about it. Who cares? Day's over. Go look at positions, get prepared for both instances, right? That's what you do every time. The net trade, we've talked about this. Look at this tightening that's happening on support. See you later, right? See you later. There are a lot of charts that are like this that are tightened on support, and we talked about it here. You can be in this position already, and you still gained value today on this position. I would say for almost any position, obviously not out of the monies, but for almost any position here, you gained value today. This looks great, continues to look good. It's a good pullback. We talk about this a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit of confidence to be built into a position or into a chart before it starts to turn. There's a lot of good examples of this. Tightening looks bullish, so expecting bid with the market tomorrow, right? That's that trade. Now, top of the list, let's take a look. Obviously, we had this G-Tech jump. Not much you can do if at that point, right? Sold through, but interesting position that basically solidifies that happened pretty quick. So that's that. FLNT. Okay, we talked about this earlier. A couple things that again should be mentioned about something like this. I think Brian brought it up from, again, this should started from open. Let me show you this chart. Let me put it on the 5-minute to make it even. All right. See these 5-minute candles in here? Kind of dog shit, right? What do you guys think about the difference in here? Is this going up? By the way, this right here, that right there is 5.5%. Let me show you what it is from down here. That's almost 10% in 5 minutes. Okay, or 10 minutes here. Okay, 10% in 10 minutes from open. 10% in 10 minutes. Okay, that's 20% in 25 minutes. Okay. Traded flat. Trade flat. We talked about this trend line over here, right? Talked about this trading within this pattern or trend lines. Okay. Pretty clear breakout here. Again, everyone comes back from lunch, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Trades get going. Okay. Now, if you had this on your screen right in front of you, right? Let's say you missed this move. You weren't prepared. You saw it. And you don't want to buy it because it's still within the channel here. But then I drew these lines at, I don't know, 10 o'clock. Whenever I drew them at, like 10 o'clock. And then over here, you start to get a break. What do you guys think? Like, you know what? I'm just not going to do. You know what? I'll wait for tomorrow. It's okay. Let's let price go by. Looks good, but I don't really want to do it right now. Again, this is like, you either make a trade or you don't, and there certainly was a trade there to be made. Certainly was a trade there to be made. Again, it's hard to see it on the daily, but it's you know what I mean. This is a pretty big spread. It's a pretty big spread. There's certainly things there we've been talking about the most recent breakout charts being the most bullish. This continues to make breaks, and it's very similar moves. And again, these flags, and then when we get these sort of candles up here, we've been talking about a lot. You want to be going around where the average is, and not putting your trend line up there. Again, I put that there for the daily, but for intraday, looking at these candles within here, right? You break out of that supply. It's pretty obvious moves a lot of times. Again, that should be set up into tomorrow as well. Now, another trade from most recently, another chart. Again, this kind of move, yes, no trades. You have a resistance break and then a trend line resistance break. You're now within the channel. There's a lot of things to, you don't really need to compute anything. There's no math here. There's no math here. This is a pretty nice trade. TCS we talked about. I talked about it open. It opened that this is a trade that could be taken. And I talked about even people that were in long positions that were like, well, I could probably just push this position, that did, because you weren't losing value in here. You actually were, it's hard to see it, but I mean, this trend line in here, you're actually trending up, and it's actually a pretty good angle. It's just hard to see on the chart. Like, look, if you zoom out, it obviously looks like a better angle, right? That's the actual true value angle. It just seems like when we get over here that, oh, it's flat, it's not really moving. No, these are all going up. This is trending up, just looks flat. So this move continued. Now we're coming up into this trend line here. This can get, again, I talked about you need to make a decision whether you're transitioning up here. So I said from the open. So if you took that trade here, if you bought from open here and it got up to the trend line, you of course were taking that as a day trade. You just took profit on it. That's, again, that's a easily over 100% from open to that trend line. You just take that trade. That's what you want. That's a goal, and you take it right there, right? QFIN, again, my favorite trade from last week. These candles are getting huge, and there's certainly, I talked about it from open, there are certainly some players getting involved over here going long, and they're just sending it to the exchange. These are just orders getting sent to the exchange. They're not even trying to mask their orders or anything, or put it on a schedule, right? This is just, there's some sort of anxiety that you're not going to get filled on everything that you tried to, so you put it all at once, causes a pretty big move. I would say that's what's going on here. I would expect this to go. I mean, I don't really have a velocity or anything based on all this. We're just looking at breaks, but this is like a 40 plus move when you look at it in terms of the demand that's coming in, and the fact that, and that would be if this is true, that there is that somebody's putting big long positions on. That's what all these candles look like. 40 plus. EBON, BLMN, FE we talked about from early. Let me show you the Yeti chart. We talked about the confidence that needs to be made on this chart. It continued to make a move. This is moving a lot quicker. It's moving a lot quicker, and I said I want to take this. Didn't take this trade today, but this definitely sets up a tomorrow. Could you have taken this trade today? Absolutely. From when we were talking about it, in terms of the way I size, I'm not gonna go over there and put like pop a squat and put a trade in here because the spread got wide. No, I mean, I'll look at this as a bullish candle and look for the entry tomorrow. I still expect to get some sort of, you do expect to get some sort of confidence building, but this broke out so quickly that we've been doing this in the market where you're getting very violent moves both ways. So obviously that's happening. Again, utilities did pretty well again since yesterday. Sabre, we had talked about yesterday in the break, and then today continuing. This trend line was from yesterday. So this was, of course, a trade that could have been taken. Something similar to here. Again, these V sort of pivot reversals. Now, LX continued pull back into support. Again, this was a trade that we talked about the chart a lot. If you miss this trade, then you're just not, you didn't prepare, right? You just didn't prepare, because again, we've been talking about this trade every day. This pullback, we talk about this pullback idea all the time, right? You really hope you can get a pullback like this to get into the trade, because a lot of you'll ask me, like on this candle, well, listen, I missed this entire move here. How do I get into the trade now? And I'll say you need to buy on a pullback, or buy on support, or buy on the next break if there is one. There's obviously no break that could happen up here, so you needed a support buy from a pullback. you got what you asked for all the time. And so those of you that do ask that question and maybe ask yourselves that, right, of how do I get into it? Well, look, right? And it's always like in hindsight, you can then go, well, oh yeah, so now I see it. But no, I mean, you use that concept in an active sense where this day yesterday, we always talk about you look for a red pullback candle into support and then you buy on the next daily candle, right? We talk about that. Maybe since it was there was a bit of a gap between these two, maybe that's where you don't prepare for that. Maybe you expect another daily candle in here. This move, as soon as you see, this is open. As soon as you see that open and it pull into support, as soon as it bounces, you got to have something in your head that triggers you to say, okay, I need to get in here quickly or else I'm going to miss it. And again, right? I'm going to miss it again, right? I'm going to miss it again. These sort of things are, we look for this on every chart. That's what you want. And when you're doing this, there is no guessing or anything of is it going up. You can see the bid. It's one of the most obvious things that you can see as a trader when you're looking at the buyers to sellers. If people are buying, they're buying, right? It's not, there is no, maybe it takes a day to get used to, but if you're actually watching the shit, it doesn't take more than a day to realize, oh, yeah, there's like 10 times as many buyers, right? So keep that in mind. Again, if you missed that one, again, I want to make sure we're critiquing the things that need to be critiqued here. Dirty Denny's, I talked about this level coming in here, and again, sort of this retail stores and value-based trades. This will be a violent move if it breaks out of there, right? And so that's your first kind of rung climbed on the ladder. Again, kind of a meme to call it Dirty Denny's, but again, it doesn't. Who cares what the company is? It's about the trade itself. Keep an eye on these type of charts tomorrow that are in this sort of consolidation that have a local high to beat, and then they're open free territory. ENDP talked about from yesterday, that support buy continues. Again, similar situation where you just take the break. When do I get into this trade? I missed this. How do I get back in? It's going to consolidate, and when it breaks, you enter, right? Dish. Talked about from open, you had 3 entries. This entry, and this entry. All of these bounce on a support, and you could have taken the trade. Today was no exception. And now where it's up here, well, now you've got the support underneath you that you broke through. And so now you're looking for either a bounce on support to enter, or you're going to have to break this one and wait again. Again, these type of trades, you're planning on further upside, so you can't then say, well, I guess I'll just wait until next year, maybe another time, or you start making up random things like that, right? You take it on the technicals, you miss it, move on to the next one, right? Unless there's an opportunity there. Now, we have charts that are sort of more in the violent territory like this. We are still looking for these type of trades, even though this happened. If you remember, I brought this up. This sort of trade, and we do have these tickers that are doing this, right? Where they've had some sort of violent pullback, and it's sort of like the Apple trade where the ability to buy down here and buy on fear on these individual positions is going to get you paid, even if there's only a little bit of a gain, right? Even if there's just a small gain. Think about if you enter here and price breaks this supply level, and you've got this whole idea of gaps and everything else in price movement. That would be a significant amount, right? Just a significant percent gain. You gotta keep that in mind. Oh no, Don, I mean, I know you talked about this airline chart a lot and in travel and stuff, and oh man, guys, again, you're missing these type of trades. And again, I'm going through a lot of positions, but it's important just to see each different idea and to think and connect every single thing that we talk about every day. We talked about this every single day this week. We talked about it every single day the week before. These kind of trades, this pullback, if you're missing this trade, this is the bread and butter of trading. You enter a trade, right? First of all, we entered it from over here, right? We capture a trade. We understand there's a consolidation happening, so we're waiting. So like when you guys ask, when's the next entry? Support entry, a clear break from the open. Enter. We transitioned on the trend line here, took profit, look for our next entry. We had a gap down. We understand that we're going to buy here this next day that opened, that 12th candle, that Friday. This was last Friday. We put the risk on over the weekend because, again, look at the tightening here. It's a pullback. We want to buy on a pullback. It's a bullish chart overall. Now we push it up to this trend line. Now you get to now ask the same question again. Is this your transition day, right? Is this your transition day from this buy here? Most cases, no, comparatively. Comparatively, it's different. But obviously, what you can be doing, and again, the real reason is that we've been pulling back as a market this week, and tomorrow looks like to be a bid day, so you don't want to cut your legs off here either. You want to be in position, which is where you want to push it, and you actually look to this level as your transition, right? That's your transition. We sort of talked about that here when you transition here. That's to give you this leg. This is going to be a great trade into tomorrow. If we go bid as a market as a whole, these charts are going to get up to their levels. You're going to be surprised. If we are bid or at least break even in the market, these kind of charts will make their move tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Okay. Now, in terms of these positions that are all around this 1 to 2% mark, these are mostly newer positions that continue to trend and do well. And so when you're looking at charts tonight, be thinking of maybe what you thought in terms of the market opening today being lower. Look for those charts that showed strength and continue to be bullish. Again, those of you that are holding long positions, I'm sure you already saw that, and your just options are down, but the underlying is okay. That just means you're in sort of riskier contracts. It's okay if you're looking to make a big gain into the weekend, this sort of idea. But again, be mindful that of that idea of change. Just because of where you see this price, right? You're still just trending up, right? The more you zoom out and the more time you think about, the less you really care if you're looking to push a position that's towards the long side, right? You don't look at the more you look, you're like, okay, yeah, it's break even again. We've been break even technically the last 2 days. This was a break even candle. This was a break even candle, right? I told you guys these last 2 days. It just feels like, oh well, we didn't put 2% on today like we've been doing every day. Ooh, no, that's just position based, right? It's position based. And we look here, this is where the real move is, and this is why we talked about a bit of rotation into tech, and we capitalized on it, right? We capitalized on the fact that we understood that this from last week was rotating further into tech, so we get more tech heavy, right? Put that Amazon position on last Friday, right? Long position. You got to be able to just be nimble in these areas while still not losing track of what the overall trend is here still, right? Now, we understood this move overall being a bit different, right? And so we, of course, yesterday we talked about that we would be taking profit on those to go enter something else because of opportunity cost. That doesn't remove that this isn't going to be a long position. It's a consolidation. And when that next move comes, we'll be able to get in there, enter it when the break comes and capture it, right? Pull back, enter. Pull back, enter, right? Pull back, entry. It's the same thing. We're just trying to get as close to timing as we can and have our money working for us the best way we can, which, again, when we look at the positions, it's the ones that continue to break out, with some exceptions, with sort of the kind of mega cap positions that have been left sort of behind that we took from last week into this week, right? Understanding tech. I'm going to mention Tesla real quick. We have continued to talk about this move, that after the breakdown that it was going to continue. Now this has bounced a little bit sooner, but this doesn't take away the fact that there's still that opportunity for a candle to be opening over here at the support that we already know. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be upside here tomorrow. This is a pretty bullish candle, bit of an inside day here. Get the downtrend into the inside tightening here. It's hard to say, and that's why you don't get to guess. Talked about it yesterday. Do you get to put the risk on yesterday? No. They're just breaking rules for no reason. If there's something that overcomes our rules, sort of like what I did with the Apple trade today, right? There's a reason why it was, first of all, a support buy, but you are stretching a little bit in terms of the bearishness of the chart. It's the same thing here. This is a bearish chart, guys. Just because you like Tesla doesn't get to overtake the fact that it's been consolidating and bearish, right? As soon as it doesn't break this next time, you leave it alone, right? That doesn't mean it's not going to be up in a month. Doesn't mean it's not going to be up in a month, but we don't want our money in there for a month doing nothing when you could make some really successful trades during that time, right? If you got you've got all year, then don't worry about it. You got all year, don't worry about it. We're going to be watching this tomorrow because if the market's going to be bid, we need to know, is everyone going in here? Is this a discount too? Is this a discount too? Sort of like that other trade I talked about. Is this a discount? Is there an expectation that next week is going to be higher? You don't buy here unless you have an expectation that next week, maybe by the end of this month, this is going to be up here. You don't buy this unless you have an all-time high expectation. Same with the market. Market does not go bid here unless there's an all-time high expectation because you need to continue the trend, which would just put you through all-time high. So again, tomorrow is going to be an absolutely just all-out buy fest, or it's going to be an obvious entry into the consolidation, which will be into the next trend line here, because when you consolidate, you transpose your supply, you're going to come into a new trend, sort of like this, right? We were in a channel for a while, then we consolidate into a new trend and continue that trend further until we consolidate again and either continue the previous trend, right? Consolidation. This is a continuation, right? Continuation triangle, continue the trend. So either you're going to truly consolidate or you're just trending up, which means if you're trending up, everyone's buying still. And if you do the math over here, this is a minus 9 basis points, not even 0.10. Over here, 2 basis points up. We were actually green on the day. Ooh. Or over here, yeah, yesterday. Today, we were down 43 basis points, not even 0.5%. Keep these ideas in mind in terms of your own emotional state of where the market is. If I see any more, the market was crashing things, this was on Twitter I read, I'm going to lose my mind. I just don't know where, I don't know where the positions are that are losing this much. Like there has to be something out there. Not even Facebook. I don't know where it is that loses so much. What about this? This is some fucking selling right here. This, I mean, I don't know, guys. Too much. Bro, is the whole market tanking? Matt says exactly. Like there is a very strange thing that happens, and then guess what? You get a buy day that the market goes, a position will go up 10%, a ticker will go up 10%, and it's like no big deal, and they miss it. I missed that trade, they say. And it's also like on these trades, like I talked about, like it'd be something like, oh, what's a good example, guys? Anything, right? It's just on anything where there's a big buy day and you miss it, and then you try to go chase it, and then it's down like 1%. It's up 10% one day, down 1% the next day, and it's crashing. Oh well, I missed it. It's gone. It's losing, and it's like, well, I mean, it would be like this, right? Like, well, I mean, okay, I mean, I see what you're saying, but that's just because you didn't get in the first place. You're still trying to buy. You're trying to time things when you can't be timing it. You needed to capture it, right? And so it's usually the mindset is based off of, you can always tell when someone entered, or sort of how much experience they have as a trader based on how they react to a negative day. Because as sort of a beginner, you think of down, like red and down days as always a negative that over trumps like everything, right? But if you're up 10% and you lose 1%, that 1%, you actually are sort of waiting for some pullback, right? You need a little bit to get those buyers back in. So you're like, okay, 1% is pretty damn good for after a 10% candle. That's pretty damn good. Or like a 10% trend, only 1%. Wow, that's pretty damn good. But it's like everyone loses their mind if they're not in a position, or they just entered one. They're like, Jesus, this is going down for sure. Like the market. That's why I was joking about showing you the chart, like I zoomed out. This is going down for sure. This is big losses. It's like, where were you when these big breakouts were happening? You know how much the market's up since over here even? That's 3%. You know what it is from down here? That's 7%. Where were you in this 7% when the market went up 7% from the low to the high? And now this has lost not even 1% yet, and you're losing your fucking mind, right? The market went up 7% in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, it went up 7%. And you didn't do a goddamn thing. And so then you bought over here, and now it's down 1% and you're losing your mind, right? Imagine being like that. That's insane. It just means you entered at the wrong spot because you didn't have confidence here, and you can tell because now your lack of confidence causes price to, as it moves basically sideways, to cause you to basically, kill yourself. You're roping on every move, which again is why people miss this entire move. During all of COVID, they couldn't do anything. They just like seized up. They seized up the whole time. Yeah, institutions did it too in the beginning, and then they got going. You gotta just like chill with the emotional part, right? And again, I'm just talking about like random retail traders. It's just funny, right? It's really quite something. And then I think it's when it's like there's an expectation that something, when they don't read it in a headline, or when it's read in a headline that something might be happening, then it's adding to the story, like, oh, another day where the market didn't go up, but it's like, oh, the market's been break even the last few days. Wait, is the week up? They say they don't. Look it on the weekly. Wait a second, is that? I can't even tell. What happens when this candle, right? It closes higher than the week before. What happens if this week closes higher than the week before? It doesn't need to be a green candle, but look, you know what it is on the week so far? We're 0.5% away from last week. We're only down 0.5% from last week. And you'll have some people think that the fucking market's down and we've been bloodbathing. What about when the market's down this much? This market right here, that was 3.5%. This is 0.5%, and people are losing their mind and like have no ability to trade. They can't possibly be buying anything. There's no way. This is bad. I mean, it's insane. It's actually just nightmare fuel for my brain to read what some people say, because then I have to think about it and say, are people actually going to sell them? Like, is that what people think? I don't know. I mean, I know what their problem is, but they just don't understand the possibilities. They don't understand the fact that price can't just continue all the time. It doesn't need a breather to continue, right? If it's going to continue a move, it needs times that it pulls back to continue the move, right? It's just going to happen. It's a reality. Sometimes it's larger corrections, and then it takes a month, right? Other times it's only going to take a week. Short week. This is the short bus week. We're getting to the tail end of the short bus. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, there was no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm saying next week is going to be higher. I'm looking for, again, we're going to react, but we got positions ready to capture. I think tomorrow a lot of you that have held through are going to get paid for holding position, especially if you bought over here. You're in a really great spot in a lot of options, because the way the options are going to work going into the expiration, I think you're going to get a lot of squeezes across the market. I see tech getting a squeeze. Again, this is dependent on the Hang Seng. You've got to be careful, of course. If this goes down, then of course we're going to go down tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll react accordingly based on what we know, though. Probability-wise, right? CCL, right? If you held in this position, imagine saying, well, I'm down. Down on my CCL position. You just did something wrong. You did something really wrong. It went up 15% from that Friday where we entered at open. By the way, that open was an opening tick off the support. It was it. It was gone. We entered. It was up 20% at the high. I mean, this kind of thing is just, it scares me to think that there's people that are like, oh, the market's fucking done. Because it went up 10%, 10%, 10%, and then it went break even one day. Yikes. The Nike trade is an interesting one as well. Talked about it. I put the poll yesterday. I said Nike 150. This move, yikes, because you're actually in a weird spot where there's probably a gap opportunity here. I'm surprised that we got a little bit of that feel here today. If I just bring it to the intraday real quick, and we'll get us out of here. This movement, right? This movement from open reacting to the market, and then everyone goes, wait, what are we doing? Wait a second. Has anything changed here? No, that's the market. That's the market. And everyone goes, oh, right. This is yesterday. The way we closed caused this, and I think it's because this technically should have just gapped with the rest of the market, but it opened where the close was. That that's something maybe we should talk about sometime, where you have the market that opens lower, but since the support was here, it did not gap the support. Otherwise, I would be very bearish. So it had to pull back in an intraday sense with the market until it reaches that point where all the buyers over here, it's the same buyers from over here that they're just they're just managing their trade, right? They're just managing the trade, and so then, yep, I'm a buyer here again, and you continue it. I mean, this is just waiting for the market. This chart could honestly put the points on tomorrow. I think there's a lot of trades out there in terms of the charts that we look at, and a lot of them are positions that we're in. Again, these mega caps, it's so close, and again, we're very value oriented, so I still don't expect this to make the mega caps to make the move over value. I see those travel positions being the real winners, the retail stores being the real winners in terms of points, but I find it very hard to believe that these are not going to put some points on, because again, you're an institution, you're like, all right, let's just make some money, guys. Institutions go buy this, it's going to go up, and everyone else is going to chase it. Everyone and their mother. And everyone has to buy all the options out there. Everyone's going to get the underlying bot. It's going to be a madness. I'm really excited for tomorrow. Couple of casas. Win this weekend. Win this weekend. I'll see you at the win, boys. And before then, I'll see you tomorrow in the morning, and I'll see you in chat tonight when the charts come out. You guys have questions, obviously the question section. Those of you listening, obviously, I'll see you whenever. Also, more stuff coming out on the prop fund. We'll get a vote out tonight. I did see that the open trade seemed to have been getting some attention today. I like that. It's a pretty cool one. That's a good one. We did talk about, I mean, someone asked, like, what do you think about open? This is a pretty good trade for tomorrow. If you didn't take this trade today, then, I mean, it's like I talked about. The real trade is tomorrow, but it's the same idea on some of these trades. Like, you could probably preempt it and be all right. But tomorrow certainly would be a good trade for the fund, so I'll put it as a vote. We'll see what everyone else votes on, or everyone suggests, and then we'll put the poll out, vote on it, and get the trade in. But yeah, that's the only other thing I got to do besides charts tonight. So see you guys in the morning. Enjoy your evening, your morning, your night, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys. Enjoy.